Hi there. Welcome. This is Vince of vinceprep.com, sporting my Columbia shirt today. You can't really see it. Um, I'm making a video about alumni, and I'm wearing my Columbia shirt for a reason I'll tell you later. I was just talking with a client about how to use alumni, and it's something that's, I think, not well understood here in my home market of Japan, or really, frankly, anywhere. And I think it's not common sense. So let me back up a minute. So when you're writing an essay, you might look online, or your friend might show you their essay when they applied to school A or B or C and they got admitted, and you're like, "Hey, can I read your essay?" First of all, be careful who you ask, and also be careful how much value. One of the one of the admission officers used to say all the time, Derek Bolton, who's formerly at Stanford GSB MBA, still at Stanford doing something else now, used to say this. He's like, you don't know if the person got in because of the essay or got in admitted in spite of the essay. So be careful about reading the essays of others. If these are essays you're buying online or finding online, or even being given from trusted in Japan we say senpai, senior colleagues, who alumni, or current students at your target dream school. Be careful what you ask for and how much. Everyone's story is totally unique, is my point. And there's a good way to. There's three ways to use alumni. The first one is not use them at all, meaning that you don't talk to anyone. You just write an essay and you copy and paste it to 7 or 8 or 5 or 2, 3 schools, and you just hope that you're going to get noticed. I don't recommend that way of doing it. So one way is just to not customize the essay for the school you're applying to, which I don't recommend. The other way to use alumni is to overuse alumni, meaning that you just try to gather 50 names and you list 50 names and you're going for quantity over quality. And the third way, and it's the way I recommend to use alumni, is as a journalist would use them, meaning that it's easy to list an alumni's name in your essay. So-and-so told me to take this class. I thought that was a good idea. That's kind of a bit cloying. That's kind of a bit begging. You're not using them well. What you're trying to find, and this is why it takes a long time, and this is what I mean by as a journalist would do it, is you use an alumni quote to move your story along. In other words, if you say, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to change a big traditional company, or I'm trying to do a startup, or I'm trying to change my career from A to B, whatever it is you're trying to do, find someone who's walked that path. Someone from your own country or culture is good. Someone from outside of your own country or culture is even better. But don't get again, I'm using Japan as an example. It's my home market here. Don't get a non-Japanese person just for the sake of it. Get a non-Japanese person, or a Japanese person who's walked your path, meaning that they've traveled the road that you hope to travel, and use them and put words in their mouth and put their, I totally was able to change my career from this to that, or I was totally able to move up in my company, or I was able to change or transform my big traditional company to do something long-term and risky and smart, and take a strategic stance for our long-term future. Use a quote of someone that has done exactly that. And that's not easy to do, and the schools know it. And you can't just replace, I had a client years ago, I won't name names, great guy, very successful, got interviewed almost everywhere, got admitted almost everywhere. He was a little bit too clever. He basically did this thing where he said, all the alumni from your school have a very dry sense of humor, and I really relate to that because I have a dry sense of humor. And it was pretty good, and it was the best example ever I've heard of sort of insert alumni name here and remember to change school name there, like a Mad Lib, like a template sentence. he didn't apply. I think he applied in the end to like 7 schools, and at all these 7 schools, there are people with a dry sense of humor. So he sort of almost got away with it. Don't know, again, wasn't watching the admissions officer's face, didn't get to debrief with the admissions officer, but that was a pretty clever way to do it. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend actually having a different person for every essay and maybe a different example for every school, if you have the time. And that's the point here, right? Talk is cheap, actions speak louder than words. Reaching out to alumni, getting introduced to people, who finding the person who's walked your path is probably not your friend. Your friend is just walking the superficial path of going from country A, wherever you are, or in the States. I have clients in the US, going from your locality, your little world, if you will, whether it's your company or your college or your high school or your club, your sport, whatever it is. Somebody from my immediate circle went to your school. Okay, great. And they said they love it because blah, blah, blah. Good. That's a B. That's never going to be better than B level logic. A level logic is so and so, hopefully a good friend of yours, maybe not always, walked the path I'm walking. In other words, in terms of category or industry or function pre-MBA, and then used the MBA to transform themselves the way I'm trying to transform myself. They were this kind of leader achieving these kind of objectives before, and they transformed themselves. And that's exactly the transformation that I seek. Trust me, that's really, really hard to find that for even one school, let alone 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, however many schools you're applying to. So I'm making this video relatively early in the admissions process, in the cycle, because this takes time. Start now, never give up. I say to clients, half of your job, once you're done with scores, once you have the GMAT or GRE or TOEFL IELTS if it's required, once you have the scores you need, half of your job should be networking. It's business school. Business school is about networking. So reach out and find those people, and never, never stop reaching out and reaching out and reaching out. And last thing I'll say, pay it forward and pay it backward. Say thank you. It should be common sense, but anyone who helped you along your journey, anyone who introduced you to someone else, let them know how it's going. Hey, I got the invite to, I got invited to the interview, or hey, it didn't work out, but thanks anyway for your help. I'm going to go to school Z, whatever. It's sort of just karma or good energy, or having a good process is, maybe it's obvious, but Japanese are really good at this, but not always, and in any culture, again, wherever you are, show appreciation to the people that are helping you along the journey. Just simply let them know what happened. They're not going to take it personally. Yeah, I got into your school, but I decided to go somewhere else for this reason. Fine. They'll get over it. Everyone's grown up here. So pay it forward, pay it backwards. That's it for now. As always, thanks for watching my videos. I do make these videos every chance I get because I love it. Oh, hey, sorry, one more thing. I forgot to tell the story about Columbia. That's the symbol. I'm wearing this shirt because a buddy of mine gave me grief because once upon a time I made a Columbia essays video and I wasn't wearing a Columbia shirt. I was wearing a shirt from another school. Just wasn't paying attention. That's an alum that I've known since high school, who's a grad of Columbia Business School. And that's a great example of paying it forward and paying it back. Where this Columbia alum, I got into Columbia, not business school. I got into the education school. I had a free master's degree, a $50,000 a year job, which was almost enough to live on in those days in New York City. I won't tell you when this was. It was a while ago. I walked away from Columbia because I felt a better fit at NYU, but I love Columbia and I love my Columbia friends. So that was the story I was going to tell about wearing this shirt. That's it for now. Bye.